I hate to break this to you, but your footage isn't the most important part of your films. Films aren't remembered for the images, they're remembered for how they make you feel. Let's take Deadpool vs. Wolverine, for example. Now, this is one of my favorite films of the last couple of years, and this scene in particular gave me goosebumps every single time that I watched it. And it's not because of the striking visuals, which of course it does have, it's because of one other thing: the sound. The sound design in this scene is just so stunning, and it results in what is for me the most emotionally compelling scene in the entire film. The song choice, along with the perfectly timed sound effects, keep you locked in on what's going on the screen, even though there isn't anything crazy in terms of visuals on the screen itself. The sound design takes what is a pretty simple scene and changes it into the start of one of the most important scenes in the entire film. But this does pose a very interesting question. What's more important for a film, the footage or the music? When it comes to storytelling, there are three main pillars that we need to take into account. And when we combine these three elements in the right quantities, this is what results in a truly compelling and memorable film. The first pillar is the emotional arc. Viewers remember stories that make them feel something. The emotional arc is what keeps them watching until the end. Now, the emotional arc can come in a variety of different ways. Drama and jeopardy are two really powerful scenarios. Let's use the example of the marine iguana and snake sequence from Planet Earth 2. The second pillar is striking footage. This is your foundation. Viewers want striking, beautifully graded footage that makes them wonder, how did they get that shot? The third pillar is sound. Music can dictate the mood of an entire sequence. Let's go back to the marine iguana sequence, for example. First, they use music to build suspense, fading into despair, and then crescendoing into hope. The mood of this entire sequence would be very different if they chose a track like this, for example. You should never underestimate the importance of sound when telling your stories. Now, that might have been a bit of an over-exaggeration, but here's another very simple example. Music can change how we perceive and judge a character within a story. In the version that we just saw, I looked like I was some kind of leader or hero. But if we change the music, I can look like a villain. Finding the right music to complement your footage is often the most difficult part of an edit, especially when you need that music to be royalty and copyright free. This is where Musicbed saves the day. An all-in-one platform for royalty-free, premium cinematic music created by musicians for filmmakers. Gone are the days of endlessly scrolling YouTube for copyright-free music. With Musicbed, your next cinematic score is just one click away. No matter where you are in the world, you can effortlessly search for the perfect track for your film, and it's as easy as clicking download and dragging it onto your project. Now, music is a very important component of sound design, but it isn't everything. In order to elevate our films and sequences to the next level, we need something a little bit extra, and that comes in the form of sound effects. In wildlife filmmaking, it's often the sound effects that help convince the viewer that they're there, in the wild with you. Sometimes in storytelling, the most powerful moments aren't what you see, but what you hear. Now, when it comes to wildlife filmmaking, and particularly underwater filmmaking, capturing those perfect sounds can be near on impossible. Take whales, for example. There's plenty of them out there. Well, you know all those viral drone videos of whales with those perfect whale exhale sounds? Well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but those sounds weren't actually recorded by the drone. In fact, most drones don't even record sound, for one very important reason. Because this is all you'd hear! So, how do you get that perfect sound effect for your video? This is where Musicbed's new sounds library changes the game. From the subtlest ocean swell to the perfect whale exhale, these sounds let me recreate what it would feel like being there in the moment, so that the viewer can feel it too. Let's put all of this into practice and see how we can make a sequence come to life with sound. I want to make a sequence around an incredible encounter that I had with a ginormous whale shark earlier this year in the Galapagos. I want to find a cinematic track that starts off slow but crescendos into a peak. So it's as easy as jumping onto the Musicbed platform and searching for the type of song that we want. I want something that's cinematic, so I'm going to go into the genre category and click cinematic. You can also combine different filters to really fine-tune the type of songs that you're looking for. Then it's just a case of listening to a number of different songs and finding the one that you think fits best to your project. I think that this song fits perfectly for what I'm looking for. It's got a nice, soft, cinematic flow to it, but enough beat cuts that I can cut clips to. It's then as easy as hitting download and dragging the song onto my project file. Now that I've figured out which audio to use, I'm going to load in the clips that I want to make this sequence with. Now, after a little bit of time editing, grading the clips, and cutting them to fit the beat, this is what we end up with. So that's what the sequence looks like when it's graded and with the music in the background. It's pretty good, but it's missing just that punch of life. Now, what I want to do to take this sequence to the next level is add in some sound effects. Now, we could do this using the original raw audio, but if we take a listen, we can see that it's not exactly the best. It's pretty muffled and there's a lot of heavy, deep breathing, which you can't really blame me. I was diving at 30 meters and following this whale shark into the abyss. So let's get rid of that original raw audio and go looking for some sound effects that are going to fit this sequence. So the base sound effect that I'm looking for any underwater sequence that I'm making is underwater ambience. People tend to think that it's completely silent underwater, but actually there's a lot of ambient noises down there. Whirring, the swirling of water, residual noises from the crashing of waves at the surface, the sounds of fish, they all add up to create this background noise. So let's head into the new sounds library and see if we can find some effects that'll fit. I think that this one is going to be great for the underwater ambience. It's not too overpowering and it's going to be a great base to level things up on. Now that we have that sorted, let's go back underwater and figure out what sound effects the fish would make. So the first thing that we have here underwater is this massive school of jacks swimming past. I want to simulate the sound of this massive body of fish moving past, shimmering together, moving in unison. I want to make the viewer feel as if they were there in the water, feeling this body of fish go past. So let's go and see if we can find this sound effect. A little bit of a niche sound effect, but let's see how the library does. So I'm just going to go in and look for underwater fish movement. Actually, this one fits pretty well. We can alter this to make it fit the sequence. So I'm going to add it in here once as the fish go by the first time. And as the sequence continues, I'm going to add it in again here. So this is what it sounds like with just the sound effect of the fish movement. Now, at the transition between topside to underwater, I also want to add another sound effect just to guide the viewer into the new part of the sequence. Now, this is where I want to add in what's called a riser. This really helps transition between scenes seamlessly. The most basic riser is the simple whoosh sound effect. If we put this in here, it's just going to transition us between the topside to the underwater seamlessly. So if we add this whoosh sound effect in here and combine that in with the fish movement as well, we layer back the underwater ambience. This is what it sounds like. Now, you're starting to get an idea of how much these small changes can make to the overall sequence. Now, if we move on to where the whale shark appears, there's this part of the sequence here as the whale shark dives down into this massive school of tuna. As it's diving down, its tail comes across me pretty close in the frame. Here, I want to add another movement sound effect, and it's just going to emphasize the movement of its tail coming close in front of me. Now, I want to input this every time its tail sways side to side. The underwater sound that we took earlier for the fish moving is actually perfect for this again. The only thing is that it's a little bit faster than the tail of the whale shark is moving, but it's as simple as just elongating it and slowing it down to fit this part of the sequence. So if we do this a couple of times, once where it swings its tail there, and then another time as it comes back across here, that's going to be perfect. And we're going to put another one in here back at normal speed for where these fish come past over the top. You are by no means restricted by the speed of the sounds or songs that you download. You can speed them up or slow them down, whatever you need to fit your project. So I'm going to add this movement sound effect in a few more times, just where we see fish passing by close to the camera. And again, the slower down effect of it when we see the tail crossing in front of me. Now, as you can see from my project here, it's all about layering, music, sound effects. It's all about putting it together to make that final product perfect. So let's listen to the sequence with just the fish movements and the rises. Now, if we layer in the underwater ambience, and on top of that, the music, we get our perfect final sequence. And it really is just that easy to take an average sequence and bring it to life with the help of sounds. If you want to try out Musicbed for yourself to help elevate your filmmaking, check out the link in the description below. This will give you a 14-day free trial of Musicbed, which also includes the use of their sounds library. Hopefully this video has given you a better idea of the importance of sound design in filmmaking. Let me know in the comments below if this video has been helpful and if you're going to start using sound effects in any of your future films. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.